Out chat. We're streaming. Right, I'm literally just doing a very small stream. This is a teeny tiny stream, probably about 30 minutes, 34 minutes long, because I'm picking the kids up and stuff later. Because they do a half day. The kids do a half day in California. I've got some nice... What's this called? This is called a milkshake thingy. I've got loads of fruit in there, and... why is it you forget everything? You forget how to actually say anything when you do a stream. So I need to have a Porky Pig little thingy. Anyhow, so I'm drinking this milkshake, which has got milk in it, bananas, frozen fruit, some ice. There's a lot of ice from the frozen fruit as well, to be honest with you, so I shouldn't put the ice in. Yeah, there's milk, and then that might be it, I think. Rather scrumptious. Yogurt. And I made so much, I've got 2 of these buggers. And that fills you up. Like, I'm literally filled up. I don't want any supper. Bloody hell, they really fill you up. It's fantastic. And also, it helps you because it's all roughage, isn't it? Or whatever you call it, fibre. So you get it around your pipes. Pushes around your pipes. And I read that, or I saw on a video, that eating a lot of this helps against colon cancer because, you know, it helps fibres about getting stuff out your system. And I guess colon cancer happens because shit's just sitting in your system, which ain't good. You know, imagine just having poo on the back of your hand for weeks, like, and then you take it off. Eventually, that's not going to be that good, is it? Anyhow, so what am I doing? Very quickly, let me get it onto FL Studio, onto my desktop. So let me see what I'm doing. Good, right, I'm on here. So I'm literally just doing stuff on the site. Let me look at where I am at. Live streaming. Where's the other page? There it is. Okay. I'm literally just building a prototype, and that's all I'm doing. So I've the styling and stuff to be done. There's all sorts, even for just a prototype. I haven't got like the mobile view, so you can see it's all broken like this. But on the prototype at the moment, let's go to the homepage. Honestly, it's not designed. I'm literally building a prototype. So I've got like 2 fake articles. I've got like that one and that one. If I click on View Our Blog, that takes you to the blog page where it doesn't look beautiful. You can see my columns for the grid, and then obviously I'm showing the latest blogs, and I've got a nice. There's no database for the blogs. It's just a nice object, which I've got here. Data, blog data. There you go. So all I do is I have a folder in my templates, and in that folder is pages, blog. And then whatever I give the article name, like GPK-food-fight.twig, I use that slug in an object when I generate an article object, and then I provide the full name of it, the mini text, and then the date. And then I'll obviously put in a link to the image and stuff like that. Though the image at the moment is based on just the same name again, so images, blog, and then I'll just put in the thumbnail, and then I'll put in the large header. When you actually visit the article, I'll put in the large header graphic or whatever I decide design-wise. So that's like the blog. Nothing crazy, not using WordPress for doing a blog. I don't write much, so it's not going to be crazy. Maybe we'll start writing more as we go along, but generally it'll just be what we're working on, but then we end up doing videos anyway in the future. We'll keep on doing videos, and yeah, the blog will just be like, we're hoping to push these and these things out, whatever. Or maybe we'll have found an article that's interesting and we'll say, oh, check this out, click on this article, and off you go and read their article, because, we want to be connected with all the other people that are doing stuff, but we don't want to take their stuff. We want to push you to them to say, check this out. We are just a checklist website. This is the homepage, so I'm getting the latest 4 that are being viewed here. Maybe we can show more, it doesn't matter. And if I view all sets, then that will take you to this page. At the moment, I've just got random, just dotted images of just default, just to sort of have something show up. And yeah, so here's these, and then if I click on, let's say, the 35th anniversary, that'll take you to the page where, for now, I just scanned in a couple of graphics just to have something there. This isn't how they'll look. It'll be interesting to trying to find out how to get a decent graphic of these. It'd be great to get them officially from Tops. That'd be nice. If Tops could provide us with the actual graphics, that'd be amazing. I have to stop thinking or just pause and don't say or just pause. I hope everyone can hear me talking. Can everyone hear me talking? Let me just quickly go to the audio. The big screen is not playing. Let me get the audio going. Big screen not assigned to any audio track, and it will not be... Okay, let me set that up. Let me set up the big screen. There we go. Now that's coming out. Excellent. So we have some audio on this. Oh my god. This fills you up. I can eat just tons of curry, right? Tons of it. Just keep on eating it. When it comes to one of these, if I was to pour this onto a plate, I don't know, these are deceptive volume-wise, aren't they? But I get halfway and I'm already getting full. But I'd rather do this. I mean, this is better for you, isn't it? But I love curry. I really like curry. Anyhow, so none of it really works. This is just the front area. Let me bring up the Adobe XD again just to show you that this is just the wireframe. As you can see, I'm building just a wireframe in its wireframe boringness. Here's the home. Here's the collector's page, which is what I'm looking at the moment. These are the two different views, the image, the list, or the you haven't got anything. There's nothing. Then we've got the collection detail, which is this page. Let's have a look. So we've got the view options. So base, I've just put these in, hard-coded them. Not pulling any information from the database right now. Just randomly put some in there just so I can see the different view states. So clicking any of these will show either big, small, or lists. And then there's the blog pages. And then here is the login stuff. So there's all that to do. And I might do the login using view. Don't know. Maybe not. Not sure. But at the moment, I'm just doing general, just vanilla JavaScript. So I'm looking at this at the moment. I have got some items in my sets page. Like this page technically is done. As in like wireframe. It's got the content that's been pulled into it. It's got the latest 4 sets that have been added. And you can click and go to the relevant areas. And then the user login takes you to the user login page. Or it did. Now it doesn't. Something's broken, but that's fine. Sets takes you to the sets page. And then the GPK takes you to the home page. So I don't care about the user login right now. I'm on the sets page, which can also access by this way. Oh, and also, let me show you very quickly, because I've got to try and do this business as well. Let's have a look at the analytics. Or not the analytics, the Lighthouse report, Chrome-generated Lighthouse report. You're right there, Trippy Rips. I have to make sure I look at this thing properly. Look at this! I don't know if you can see it properly, but the performance is 100. Accessibility is 100, best practices is 100, and SEO is 100. So, and there's things I can do here to make things a little bit better. Like above the fold images, add the lazy load renderer, so I can add lazy load to particular images. I'll just add them to all of them. Because you don't have to JavaScript lazy load anymore now. You can actually just add lazy to the graphic. And I think I did have... Yeah, I've got loading equals lazy, so I don't understand why it's suggesting there's an issue with that. I will look into that and make sure it's sorted, but either way, it's still a happy. It's 100% on everything. If I've got it all 100% on everything, it means that when you go to the site, it's going to be super fast and it's going to be accessible. Now, I know accessibility is that this is just the most minimum passing. You can do a lot more to make a website accessible and make it so it's accessible for like a lot of people. You know, you don't have to be blind or whatever to look at a page with accessibility. We can make it so you've got like keyboard navigation for anybody, which is awesome. So you can just tab around or whatever very quickly. Anyhow, so let's go to the sets page. And at the moment, I'm looking at how this works. So if I choose themed series, I want everything that's not themed to be hidden. And I was thinking about doing it all with JavaScript, but with CSS these days, you can be a lot cleverer than that. So at the moment, per item, I've got the on each item I've got a data hyphen JPK series equals themed series, and then this one's JPK series is Chrome series, and then I've also got the data hyphen GPK set equals Chrome 1. So, and the same on this one. So this is the 35th. So we've got data GPK series is theme series, and data GPK set is 35th anniversary. So I'm sort of I've got my code here. So let's have a look in the console. So here you go. So if I select something, original series, Chrome series, theme series. So in my code, in my codey code, let's bring up the code. So this is the blog data. So let's get out of there, and we're in. I've used a dependency script that I've used a lot in ES5, and just to get this site done, I've got it being used in this. So I have a package JSON file which basically watches a whole load of files, and I am doing that in scripts, and scripts basically pulls in every single script that is to do with utilities or components. For now, I can optimize it later, but I just want to get the bloody job done. Do you know what I mean? I just want to get the code in there. I can figure things out later. This is an evolving project where we can optimize and make things better later. There's no point in spending a load of time trying to make it beautiful at the start, because even when you make it beautiful, it still needs to change later because you realize you can do things better. But for now, the utilities of the website and the components of the website for the front end, not for the back end, not for when you're logged in, because that could end up becoming Vue.js or whatever, I don't know. So the components utilities, they're all pulled in. They're wrapped with a Windows event, which I will change to load. Because the document content loaded is before load. I need it to wait for everything to have loaded. And then we minify it using Minify, which is from the Terser NPM plugin, which is interesting. So I'll be able to do a lot more with that as well. So I'm minifying it that way. There's no point in me trying to minify it myself. That's outrageous. And then I use Node to just write the file. And I've got my own little script of Node modules. Let's have a look. Where am I? Let's go into scripts. No, let's go to modules. No, it's not going to that one. Let's go into scripts. Where is it? Files. There you go. So I've got a load of asynchronous files, functions that I can call to and just do general file stuff. So that's fantastic. So beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And yeah, and then this one compiles the page scripts. So I've got scripts that are for pages. So like the index page, here it is. So all I do is when I've got a page that needs a script, I just put the name of that in here, and like, I don't know, login.js. And then inside of there, I'll add my script, my dependency script wrapper. And then I add my code in, and thank you very much. And then that'll get rendered by the scripts file. It'll just go in there, find all the files that are inside of the pages folder, and it'll render them all out separately into my distribution folder. This is all stuff maybe that you don't need to know, or you do, I don't know. Coding is fun, isn't it? Coding's great because it's like doing a jigsaw, it's like doing a crossword, it's like doing all sorts of puzzles. But when you've done your crossword, all you can do is go, oh, look what I did. But if you do coding, you go, look what I did. I've learned something. Now I can take it further. Though crosswords, you could say that works as well, because you then learn words and things. You learn stuff. But coding maybe's got a more direct approach to monetizing than crosswords. I don't know. Anyhow, that's a programmatic way of looking at the difference between crosswords and coding. Oh my god. So I've got about 20 minutes left before I have to make like a tree. Yes, 20 minutes before I have to make like a tree. So let's have a look. What am I doing? Yes, I am going to go into not my index one. So the index has got nothing in it. If I land on the home page, all that happens is my my script runs. It's got no dependencies. I don't need to add this in here. That shouldn't be there. And it should console log page home. And that should be it. So let's go to the home page. Page home. Thank you very much. When I go to the sets page, I'm dumping an object. And one of the things that I'm doing in this script is I'm using something called Twig templates. Now, I can use a lot of different templating systems, but I'm using Twig. And basically, let me close all this up. So in dev templates, I've got my master template where the general structure of the site is, and then each page pulls from that. And so this is the sets page, and I've got like extra footer assets that could be rendered into the master template, and then I've got like all sorts of stuff in there. But what you do is you create a great big object. So you create a data object, and then you pass that data object into the templating system, and then that you can use relevant data from that object to generate content. So like I'm generating these items here dynamically in that template, but it's outputting it as static HTML. So it's dynamic for rendering it, but when the viewer looks at it, it's static. It's static. There's no front end rendering. There's no rendering in your browser. Sorry, not rendering, compiling or whatever you call it. But it renders in your browser as static. All like, what's the point in having it dynamic if it doesn't need to be? So basically that's how it works. And what you can do then is with the actual JavaScript object you send into the template, you can then render that into a script tag and save the data in a variable for JavaScript to take over. So I'm rendering all of this, but I'm also saving the data that's rendering this in the template as well, and I can now access it in the JavaScript. So that way people can look at it, and then if I need to modify it, I've got the full data object saved already. I don't have to run through the page, grab each item, and create a data object from that. What's the point? I've already got it. Video game coding, yes, is tough. And then video game coding is like application coding, because you're all looking at object-oriented scripting. And you have to just you really have to do like creating a database. You have to sit there and work out how all the tables communicate with each other and get it going. And it's the same with a game. You have to sit there and look at how does this get going. Now, if you've done it enough times, then you'll be able to get into it very quickly. But like for me, I haven't made... The only game I've made was like 23 years ago, and that was a fighting game. So if I was to look at it now, I'd be at square one again. And so eventually I'd get used to it, you know. You generally have like an object that's for all the enemies, and then you have an object for an actual enemy, and that way you've got like your list object. When you generate a new enemy, that then gets put into the list object, so that you can then run through all of those enemies that exist. And then each enemy would then have its own business going on, and that would have the foundation of all movement for enemies. And then you'd have a sub-object of that, wouldn't you? That then has their own restrictive movement that overrides that. And that's like the most basic form, and then there's tons of stuff after that. It gets nuts cool, but that's the main one. Unreal Engine. So Unreal Engine, I bet they're getting way more hits now thanks to what... Unity has done. They have really messed up Unity. Their stocks are tanking. They have really buggered it up. And I think Godot or whatever that's a game engine. A lot of people are looking to go to that. And if I remember rightly, they might do C# as well, which would be great. Because if they've got their own scripting language, then you're sort of like, do I want to learn someone else's scripting language? But I think they also do C#, which means that Unity developers... And there's some other companies that are working on it to make it so you can convert your Unity projects to other projects, because Unity are really taking a dump on everybody. They're taking a massive dump. And they deserve it if they're going to take a greedy dump. Right, so... Let me see. Yes, that's it. So I'll click on this theme series. So I was thinking with... when I select something... Chrome series, do I then run through each item in this list and hide it? Because that way I'm modifying each item every time I do something. Now, there's not a lot that's on this page, and there probably never will be a lot. It's not going to be too crazy. Eventually, we'll have all of them, but even will that be a lot? I don't know. But the thing is that I still want to do it sort of smart, and this could be done with CSS. So, like, if I look at the data GPK series, can I, with styling... Let me have a look. So let's go into here. So let's go to, let's do data GPK series equals themed series. And then in here, say display none. So look at that. So I have hidden everything that's display, that's GPK series, theme series. Now, I don't want it to hide. I want it to show only that. So now what I need to do is I need to look up how do you do not. So let's look that up. So CSS not. So there's not, and then that's the selector. So let's try that then. So let's go here and let us do not. Oh my god. Okay, let's do it within the ID. So let me do ID. I don't like styling with IDs, but let's have a go. What? Now it's all bloody gone. Let's reload the page a minute. Right, let me do this again. Let's get this. C++, Java is... Do you actually code, Trippy? Are you a coder? Right, okay. I hate styling with IDs, so I will actually put a class on this. I only use IDs for getting elements to do JavaScript to. I use classes for styling, and it's good to think that way. You should never style with an ID. It's ridiculous. However, I will style this. So let me just make sure it's all running. Yeah, it's all running still. So if I go to SAS, and then let's have a look at the sets page. If I haven't got a page set, so for now I will go into the GPK swatch. Let's just do GPK swatch for now, because I literally just want to test this out. Find in folder GPK swatch. There we go. Right, so we got that. So now if I do GPK sets, seriously, that is awesome. Because I don't know if you if you remember like Macromedia Director, but in about I started working in 1999, and I was just crazy in Macromedia Director, and I'd try and make like little 3D adventure games, but the rendered one, you know, not one where you're actually moving in a 3D world, but just the 3D classic adventure rendered games where you'd click the right arrow to rotate it and see the next 3D render of the same room or whatever. But I made like a fighting game in Macromedia Director and using like behaviors and stuff for the object-oriented stuff, and that was awesome. And then I lost my job in 2001, so 2 years later, I'd started making a game called Bug Bomber on a Commodore 64 that was like Bomberman, but you could drop eggs, different types of eggs, and those eggs were either like tanks that could move around by themselves, or like a can that went around, and if it went over the other people's eggs, it'd turn it to your egg and stuff like that. And I was working on that, and I'd actually got to the point where I had the character moving around like the Pac-Man or Bomberman sort of area, and I'd got it so that as you were walking towards where you could go up or something, I was calculating at what point where you walk along the square, if I press up, it will automatically sort of go up rather than just stopping. So there's things like that you have to think about in games that no one else sort of like thinks about when they're you know, playing your game. That you've had to think of all these weird edge cases. And then I lost my job, and then that was it. I was on like whatever job I could get, and I ended up doing like web stuff, and I was still doing CD-ROMs in Macromedia Director, and then I lost my job with them. I did like a Simon Says game in Flash, and I had all these sound packs that I'd made separate that you could load in, and I was doing all stuff like that. And then I lost my job, and then that was it. I was playing the CSS, JavaScript, kind of like just website stuff, and and then Macromedia Director died thanks to Flash. And the only reason Macromedia Director died thanks to Flash is because Flash, the installer, was so small, and the Macromedia Director was about 2.6 meg, and everyone was on 56k modems, and so no one wanted to download Macromedia Director. Flash was easier. But Director was way more powerful than Flash. But yeah, Gravity's definitely hard, but you end up, like, a lot of the time with Gravity, you end up faking it, don't you? And then there's the whole, if you want a ball to hit another ball, then you look at the radius of it, and then you work out the hypotenuse, is it, of the center. So once you know the radius, no, not the, yeah, is it the radius? Yeah, the diameter's the whole thing, the radius is half of it. So what you do is you take the radius of both balls, and then you look at the distance between the center of both those balls, and if it equals or is less than, then they've collided, and all that sort of stuff. All that sort of jazz. Yeah, a race game with GPK characters would be awesome. Yeah, I started... If I'd have known that trigonometry was good for games, I'd have learnt it at school. Didn't give a flying rat's bottom. Anyhow, so GPK sets, and then we've got GPK series. So I just want to find out... GPK series equals theme series. Equals theme series. And then we'll say border 1 pixel solid FOO. So red. Let's see what happens there. Oh, there we go. Let me set it to 5 pixels. There we go. So this one, I've pinpointed this one, and it's 5 pixels. So how do I do the knot? Does the knot... The knot doesn't seem to work, so not that. Surely everything else should disappear except for that. Or no, everything else should have the red border. Ah, okay, so for some reason the CSS doesn't compile. Let me go back in here. Let me run this again. I have to look at why that's not the case. I don't understand. Please reload. Hey! Okay, why is everything... So these have the 5 pixel border. But this one has the 5 pixel border. Oh, because everything doesn't have that. Ah, that explains it. Okay. In that case, I know what to do. So only the ones that are sub to this. Now it's going to work. There you go. Look at that. So I've pinpointed everything using CSS except for what's selected. So if I if I chose theme series, then I am targeting only this. And so what I need to do is, instead of having JavaScript run through everything and tell it all to bugger off, I just have JavaScript write this into the page. Is that easier? And let CSS take over? I think that's the easiest, isn't it? Trigonometry sucks, and then when you get into it, you're like, oh, this is awesome! See, I haven't been employed for a while now, but so I've been getting back into coding, obviously, because I'm doing the GPK Checklist site. What's the time? I'll have to go in 5 minutes. Actually, I'll have to start getting ready now, I think. Anyhow, I'll have to get going now. So anyhow, so as you can see, I'm just doing this. It's all straightforward. Most of this thing's been chatting about it, but I'll have it so that when I select this, my JavaScript, which is... Let me go to scripts, and let's go to components, filter sets. So here's my filter sets object, and as you can see here, I've got my init, and in here it checks to see the select and if it's changed, and then I just console log the target value. So in here I will write CSS into page controlling the view of the sets. And that is it. Nice and easy. If I choose all, then I check if value equals all. And if it does, then just delete the CSS because everything shows. And it's that easy. So that's that. And then for the input, I will check if the content of this is inside of data-GPK set. And I think I can do that with CSS because you can actually do CSS select with text in attribute. I think you can do that. So is there a CSS selector for element containing certain text? Let's have a look. If you match an element, the name of the attribute. If I read the specification correctly, no. Well, I am sure I have seen that if you're selecting something that has some key words in it or letters, you can find it. And I plan on doing the same thing. CSS on the page that will filter based on this. I mean, obviously in JavaScript, I can just filter all these items and check very quickly if data-GPK sets has what I'm typing. Like if I type in 1, then it will look for 1 and get rid of everything else. But CSS is so quick that I'd rather do it with CSS and just have these two items render some CSS on the page. Makes sense. Anyhow, right, I've got to go. So this is what I've done. This is what I'm doing at the moment. I'm just working on all the little basic things. I'll be working on stuff like on the homepage. As you scroll down, I'll have a bit of JavaScript that makes sure the header stays in place. I know I could use fixed, but maybe I'll have it so that the header changes in size and stuff based on a design. So you have to have a bit of JavaScript for that. And I'll be using object observing, because what it'll do is it'll generate an invisible object in the page, and it'll check if that object is in view. If it's not in view, then it'll set the header to have a class. And it's all straightforward, little teeny tiny widgets that just do their own thing and they don't care about nothing else. But they will be available so that any script can check to see what the status of that is, which is always a good thing to do with all objects that you write on a website. They can live on their own, but they also provide information to other things if need be. You know how it works. Anyhow, thank you very much, Trippy Rips, for hanging around. That's it. I'll see you later. I've got to go. Time flies when you're having fun. See you later. See you later. Hang on. How do I do this? Yeah, I do this and I do the outro. See ya.